Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Blabbit. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, Blabbit is where experts come to share their insights, their tips, their experiences with all of us. And as always, Blabbit is sponsored by the wonderful team at Open Doors. My name is Paul Geiger. I am one of the co hosts of Blabbit. I'm a New York City public speaking coach and presentation expert. I work with clients and organizations on really three things. Number one, it's reducing public speaking anxiety. Number two, it's getting more clear about your messaging. And number three, it's getting rid of any of those unwanted speech habits. Now you know all about me. Let's find out about our co host here, Mr. Glenn Ingram. Hey, Glenn.
Good morning, Paul. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Glenn Ingram. I've been working for the better part of the last 2 decades, helping people become better communicators, better listeners, so that they could influence and perhaps have a career in the sales industry. Craig, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks, guys. How are you guys?
Great.
Excellent.
Give us a little introduction about yourself, if you would.
So, my name's Craig Campbell. I am based in Glasgow in the UK, so apologise for the accent. I've got 20 years' experience in the digital marketing space, been everything from that freelancer in my bedroom who didn't know what I was doing, up to scaling up and building an agency. And now I do a lot of buying and selling websites and messing around in the affiliate marketing space, and do a lot of teaching, speaking at events, and all of that good stuff as well. Hopefully giving something back to the community.
Well, Craig, again, thank you for being on the show. It's great to have you back here by popular demand. And I know we were talking just before we went on the air about how much you've been speaking and going around to different conferences and speaking with organizations. Can you give us an idea of what some of the top topics are that they ask you to speak about?
Mostly, in most cases, it would probably be affiliate marketing, to be honest. A lot of the places that I go and speak are full of people who are probably earlier on in their digital marketing journey, and they're looking, they don't like clients, or they're trying to get a side hustle or whatever it may be. So I feel like I've got a lot of people wanting to know how you make money without working with clients. Seems to be a big thing, and I know that seems quite bizarre, but it was a problem I had in the past where I just found it quite stressful dealing with people with crazy expectations and all of that stuff. And there comes a point in your career where you're like, do you know what? I actually know what I'm doing now. Why am I going to make like Glenn Ingram millions of pounds? To hell with Glenn, I'll make myself millions of pounds, cut him out, saying that if Glenn was the client. So, once you master your skills and stuff, why are you working for clients? And, these are questions that, and it's, people will be able to answer them saying, clients are amazing, cash flow is good, and, we do all of this stuff. But, everyone's got their own opinions and ways of working. And for me, the affiliate method, gives you time to spend with your family. You're not having to be anyone's beck and call. You're in charge of when your money comes in. You're not begging clients for money. And so I think, there's a lot of benefits to that. And people still just see clients as the only route. And that's not the case. You can make money in a wide number of different ways in the online space. So I'm always asked to speak a lot about that and my journey to getting there. But in particular, people are fascinated by the kind of affiliate thing or buying and selling digital assets. It's like real estate. You can buy and sell houses, do them up, flip them on for profit. I would consider myself to be knowledgeable enough now to be able to spot a website that needs just a bit of TLC, and I can get my team, my processes involved, scale it up, and then flip it on for a massive profit. So it's like digital real estate. And as I say, there comes a point in your career where you're like, do you know what? I believe in what I'm doing, and try and make money that way. And people are fascinated by it, and hopefully I'm giving something back and helping people get close to where they want to be by cutting their journey time down, because it took me 20 years to be able to figure all this stuff out. And it's nice to give back.
So for people who may not be aware, would you elaborate a little bit more on what affiliate marketing is? Because people may think, what can I do to make money without having to work for somebody else? And it may seem quite appealing to them. So how would you describe affiliate marketing?
So the first thing I'm going to say is not as easy as plopping up a website and then comes all this free money. Certainly a lot more to it than that. Now, affiliate marketing, marketing's marketing, right? So we drive traffic to a website. Affiliate marketing is where you're selling someone else's product or service and you're receiving a commission for it. So you do not have to physically touch the product. You do not have to deliver the product. You do not have to take the returns of that product. You're simply saying, this is my website, which is your website. You might want to buy this, or this. People click on it, and then you get a commission for anything they buy. So it's not drop shipping where you may have a website and you get someone with a factory who will drop that stuff out. It is purely affiliate. You just get commission, and you can get monthly recurring commission for doing this. You know, if you get someone to sign up to a subscription-based type thing, or a one-time only, such as Amazon affiliate. And I was actually just explaining a few hours ago to one of my friends who wants to get involved in affiliate. And he's like, so I need to list all of these crazy products on my website. You know, there's what ones am I going to add? And I'm like, you're missing the concept here. Let's simplify this. You're leading people from your website. They click on the button, they get taken to Amazon, and you will get anything that person buys for the next 24 hours, whether it's the product that's listed on your page or something else. And that's the great thing about affiliate. It's about a simple cookie drop. You have to have a landing page that's got something, of course, that's of interest and that ranks well, but it's all about the cookie drop. It doesn't have to be those products that sell. It could be a wider range of products, a different make, a different model. It's very simple and very easy. Now, again, what I would explain to people is, if you're not an SEO guy, for example, and you don't know how to do SEO, and let's say you've got a big TikTok following or some other social media, you can do affiliate marketing because you're driving that traffic to that affiliate link, whether that be through TikTok, whether it be through some big emailing list, whether it be through something else, and they're hitting your link, and potentially, by law of averages, X amount of people are going to buy. Obviously, you want your audience to be targeted to a specific topic. However, you don't have to have a website to do affiliate. That's the great thing about it. You can drive traffic from wherever you like, in terms of social media and stuff like that. So it doesn't just have to revolve around SEO. You know, there's people out there who've just got massive followings. For example, influencers who may be in the home improvements niche. And you might want to start selling home improvement related stuff if that's all what your audience are looking to you for, and make yourself some money along the way. So that's the simple way of explaining how it works.
All right. So I love the simplicity with which you describe it, but it sounds to me like one of the flies in the ointment is, if you choose to use a website, it does have to rank really well. Is that one of the challenges in terms of affiliate marketing? If you are using a website to drive traffic, your website has to rank for a particular subject matter. Is that true?
Yes. Like, I'm going to leverage my own website, my own skills. So as an SEO, it's in my best interest to make websites rank for different things in order to get money. But if you're crap at SEO, can you use paid traffic? Can you use Facebook ads? Can you use something else? Then the answer is yes, you can still do that as well. But you need to figure out if the commission's actually worth it, because a lot of affiliates have a kind of low-end commission. So if you were doing paid, then you would need to be getting a return on investment. And because the commissions are so low, you might struggle to break even, which is why SEO in particular, or social media, where you can generate traffic without it costing an arm and a leg is going to be more profitable.
Mhm.
So, what is new within digital marketing or SEO? Because we always hear these people saying, I've got some new gadget, I've got some new widget, I'm some guru that's going to teach you something that you don't know. Is there anything really new out there in digital marketing, or what do you say about those gurus that are out with the newest, latest widget?
I mean, to be honest, no, there's nothing majorly new. Now, obviously, with SEO, there's always a new tool, something to do your analysis with, or something to automate things, and they're always cool to play around with. Is there anything new with digital marketing? You know, the search engines change their algorithms and stuff like that, but it's really what I want to try and get across to people is this game can be really as difficult or as easy as you want it to be. You know, getting the right people to do the right tasks on your website and just putting in some elbow grease and some common sense is what SEO is. There's no magic thing or some guru saying, I'm going to sell you the next biggest thing. You know, if that really was the next biggest thing, do you think they'd be selling it for $500? Absolutely not. You know, they would be rinsing the backside out of it. Certainly, if I knew some cool loophole that was in Google, would I be selling that for $500 and arming Google alongside all of potential new competition to come and challenge me for the money? Absolutely not. I want all of that money for me. I'm a greedy bastard. I want it all. So, people that sell these things, I'm not saying every course person is selling some garbage or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. But there are certain people out there who kind of mislead newer people into the industry saying, man, I've got this groundbreaking stuff, blah, 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 blah. And I've been there, done it for it myself. And I'm just like, you've actually told me less than what I tell people for free on YouTube. You know, that's what you're up against. So it's very difficult. And listen, I get it. People have got to make money, and people think they're up here when they're really down here, and vice versa, and all this stuff. But I'm not a massive fan of the gurus. I think I look around the world now, and everyone with 2 years of experience is now claiming to be a guru. And how can you be that guru? I think all of us, throughout our years of experience, have made a lot of mistakes along the way. And I don't see how a guy in 2 years after reading an SEO book and ranking some shitty little client for some local stuff can then now be educating the younger generation in terms of what's new and what's not, because people have been there and done a lot more. So I think guru, it seems like the world's, or people think, you can just become a guru a lot quicker than you can. And I waited 15 years before I started putting myself out there, speaking on stages and stuff. I just didn't feel I had the expertise or the stories to tell or the mess ups to talk about. And then when I see other people doing it, you're just like, you're blagging it, you're talking stuff, you're talking garbage. We need to be very careful of these people. And sadly, 90% of speakers and stuff out there are giving old stuff that no longer works, or just complete and utter horse shit, is the honest answer on what's going on.
I think the two, real quick, Paul, the two things that I really like there was common sense, which isn't so common any longer, and elbow grease. Get off your lazy backside and actually do some work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know right in the beginning of the episode, Craig, you said that you don't work with clients all that much. Do you still work with clients, or are you doing mostly the affiliate work? I mean, do you still advise people? And if so, do you find that the fact that you are freely able to admit that you've been through the trenches, that you've tried a lot of different things, does that endear you to them as being the person who you say you are? In other words, you have the battle scars to show for it?
I mean, for sure, I think people buy into people. And, if I sit here and say everything I touched was a success, someone's going to say, nah, That didn't happen. We all know that
Right.
that didn't happen. So I think, people like people who are honest and transparent, and that's all I can ever be, and own up to it. Like, if I've had 50 of my own personal projects in my life, 47 of them have failed. For one reason or another, I'm still hanging on for dear life with a couple of good projects I've got. So I've been robbed, I have been violated, I've been, we've all been there, listening to the wrong people. So I think people, one, I'm not ashamed to admit what I am, and made the mistakes, and two, I think people do like to hear it. But to answer your first question, I do still work in a consultancy or advisory role for a lot of people. I've got agencies and stuff who are like, Craig, you've been here, you've done it, I'm going through this, going through that, and also, a lot of my failures when I had an agency and when I started out in this business is the same journey that many of us have went through. I started out by pure blag, starting out in this industry, making it up as I was going along, had no clue what I was doing. Wasn't a businessman or anything. So very quickly, as I started to hire people to help me, I found myself in charge of a business. Now, I didn't even know what an accountant was, and stuff like that. But then you go on and, you get a bit yourself a bit of an ego, and, you're a bit of a control freak, and you're not delegating enough. You don't trust anyone. And I think you go through a period of that. And again, that stagnates your growth and creativity and everything else. So the biggest battle I ever faced, in my journey, was with myself. I was the roadblock. I was the center of all of the problems. And, to the point where I once went to the doctors, and I just didn't feel great. I felt just pretty run down and all that stuff. And he's like, "You've got anxiety." I'm like, "Nah, no anxiety." He says to me, "If you get any money problems," I'm like, "Nah." "Any problems at home?" I was like, "Nope." So anyway, he was going through all these things. And he's like, "You're anxious, and what do you do for a job and all this stuff?" And I was telling him, and he's like, "Whoa, fuck that shit." I was shitting my pants every Friday to make sure that all the clients had paid their invoices so that I could pay the staff. It was just a whole rigmarole, and it was non-scalable. And, as I say, even my content writers were writing content. I was that much of a control freak that I wanted me to have the final thing of putting the content on the website. So I remember standing up one day. It was like 3:30 in the office, and I'd been in since 8 a.m. And I stood up, my head was spinning, and I looked out the window and I thought, I've done no actual SEO work here. Like, what the fuck am I doing? And, I was arguing with staff. I was sorting this out, chasing invoices up, trying to sell. I was doing everything. And I was like, I can't be this guy. Like, I don't even know. And I started to feel that my SEO skills were going backwards. I wasn't really in the loop with what was new, what was current. And that kind of made me decide, I built myself into my business, and I wasn't working on my business. And you need to decide, are you going to be that guy in the middle of the business that's super stressed? Or do you want to take a back seat and delegate stuff out and create the right processes? And obviously, it took me a long time to realize that that was me and my big ego and, my possessiveness of, and it's not a bad thing. I always want the best for my business. I just didn't trust people enough. And I think sometimes you have to let a lot of that go. But if you're not educated in business and you somehow stumble across this, you make a few quid, you think you're king of the world, and no one can tell you, what to do. So these are all things that people resonate with, and they're like, Craig, you've hit the nail on the head. That's exactly me. I've been in your shoes. Like, exactly, because I've been there and done it. And then we can talk about other things. Where do you hire this person? What do you do for this? How do you manage people and all these things? And then they when I leave there, after advising them or training them, they're in a much better position than I was. So that's the main goal.
Yeah, I think we see this a lot, particularly in digital, but I think you see it in other companies. There's a difference between building a business and building a job for yourself. And I think that's what most people fall into is they build a job for themselves. Yeah, they may be making better money. They may have either a worse or a better boss to work for, depending on how demanding they are themselves. But there's a huge difference between building a company that can scale around you and just building a business that's going to drive yourself into the grave.
Yeah. And I done the first one for like 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's where I went to the doctor. He was like, "You're anxious." I was on medication, and something had to change, or I was going to die effectively. So that's where affiliate, scaling back, working with clients and all that kind of stuff. I just found that really super stressful because, like every human being, everyone's got a difference of opinion, different expectations, and I just felt that just as a kind of uptight kind of guy and an honest guy, I would tell clients to like literally fuck off down the phone and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, dude, piss right off. And some clients are like, oh, fucking, I like the way you talk to me like that and give me. And other clients were just like, I can't deal with you. You're unprofessional. And at that point, I understood my strengths and weaknesses and started to focus on my strengths, which was doing what I do. But the weakness was dealing with other people and just not being tolerant of clients trampling all over the top of me. So that's why I steered away from clients, and it suited me in a personal level, just with my temperament and the way I am. And I get that's I'm probably never going to be, I never have been suitable for a kind of client-facing role as such. So because again, I'll just say the truth. I'll just say that you're talking shit there, mate. That's not how we're going to do things. Some clients like that. Some will think you're an absolute douchebag, and fair play. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead, Glenn. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so let's dig into something that you mentioned back a while ago, and we talk about traffic. So there are some people that are always going to say, oh my goodness, there's this new TikTok, there's this new Instagram, there's this new XYZ Twitter. When you really talk about traffic, and if you're trying to sell a service or a product, are you looking at different ways to get traffic to that product or service versus the website and SEO like this? Because, we always hear that, oh my goodness, I need to do this new social media, blah, 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 blah. As opposed to just having something that's going to be on the new phone book. It's called GOOGLE, Google, and being there when someone's looking for your services or products. What, in your opinion, is the best way to do things, and maybe some pitfalls to avoid?
The best way is very hard to answer. Now, as an SEO, I'd love to just sit there and say, do you know what? People still use Google, a massive amount of time. However, I'm getting old, and I don't want to be that guy that doesn't evolve with the times. You look at TikTok, and I think 2 months ago or so, it was alleged, and I can't speak 100%, but it was said that TikTok actually generates more traffic than Google itself on a daily basis. Now, I think as a digital marketer, should you ignore other sources of traffic? Absolutely not. Do you want to keep up with platforms that are generating real traffic? 100%. Have I seen businesses make a lot of money that don't have a website, that only use social media? 100%. So I was asked this question yesterday, actually. I was speaking to a university of people, and they were like, so, what would you advise like your son to do, in the future, where to make money? And SEO is a headache. The goalposts are moving constantly. Yes, there's a lot of traffic to be had from it, but could you forge a career in social media? I think you can. Now, also, when I was in Dubai a few weeks ago, I was one of only 2 SEO speakers, and the rest of these speakers were all dealing with paid traffic. They bought up traffic, they used pay-per-click, all of that kind of stuff. Just big media buyers. And there's guys on stage going, yeah, I turn over 20 million a month. And that's great, fair play to them. But he was spending like 19.8 on traffic. So it wasn't as good as it actually seemed. So what I would say to people is try and get traffic from multiple different traffic sources, not just SEO. Use paid, use whatever, whether it be social media, Quora ads over the past few years has been a great source of traffic. People still talk about Pinterest, Reddit, all of these things. And I think, that is all digital marketing for me. And would I ever be ignorant enough to sit here and say SEO is the best way forward? Absolutely not. I think you need to diversify your traffic sources, be less reliant on paid, of course, but also be less reliant on organic, because the minute Google slaps your website, if they do, or changes the goalposts, your income can drop massively. And I would rather, if Google were to lose it and 20% of my traffic was coming from that, I'd rather have the other 80% all working well. I think that's a safer model for business. So as an SEO, I've made a lot of money through it, but I think the world's changing, and I think there are other things out there, other platforms, and that's why people have often said, Craig, why are you in TikTok? What the fuck are you doing? I'm just on there dancing around and seeing what can happen. I'm just playing around.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to explore, what traffic was there, what leverage you could get from it. I don't particularly want to sell anything on it, because I don't really have anything to sell, but just for brand awareness and just for a laugh and to understand how the TikTok algorithm worked was some of the reasons that I played about on that. But could I monetize it? 100%. And, the same way I see many others doing it. But I think, don't focus too much on one area, is what I'd say. Do not just be a social media marketer. Do not just be a pay-per-click guy. Do not just be an SEO guy. Try and, do a bit more than that, and try and master as many of these as you possibly can for optimal performance.
So, how do you avoid, in terms of making marketing choices, how do you avoid becoming overwhelmed by all of this? Is it a matter, number one, is it a matter of choosing making the right marketing choice, and then being able to perfect a repeatable process for getting that traffic? And if so, have you seen any surprises in terms of, I have this product, I have this service, I believe that SEO on Google is going to be my best way to go, but then you've had somebody try out TikTok that you totally didn't expect, and they hit it out of the park? Have you experienced anything like that with some of the people you've worked with?
I have seen all sorts of different things. For example, even when COVID was on, when TikTok was probably at its peak, and that's why it grew so quickly. I've seen many people who designed a crappy little T-shirt just for a laugh while they were bored, and made a full-scale business out of it, made a brand out of it, like seriously, just on TikTok. So things like that, and then you see other people, professional brands, trying to do it on TikTok, and it just bombs because it's garbage. There's no personality behind it. It's too professional, and that's the great thing. On TikTok, I don't think you have to be super professional. I think people are looking for characters. They want to see a bit of personality, and I think different platforms offer different types of people. Like LinkedIn is probably more for professionals, if you like, and YouTube's a bit of do what you like. But yeah, it's different platforms for different people. Have worked well. I have also worked with bigger brands who tried to look at SEO, and it just wasn't working that well for them. They were just getting a better return from everything else that they were doing, and they're just like, yeah, to hell with this. If we're making X amount of money doing this, this, and this, why not accelerate that? I still think it was a stupid decision with that particular person that done that. I think long term SEO would have kind of got up there, and they could have maybe reduced their paid spend and stuff like that. So I think you have to look at it overall, and I don't want to talk here as if SEO is dying or something. It's certainly not. I've still got projects that solely rely on SEO. I've got other projects that I have done pay-per-click and social media and all that kind of stuff. And even for an SEO guy, my personal brand, right? Most of my traffic comes through social media and YouTube. It's not through SEO. And a lot of that's down to the knowledge I'm given, or maybe the personality I've got, or whatever it may be. So different things for different people, and for me, I haven't tapped into every platform available. I still kick myself when people say I'm getting amazing traffic from Reddit. It's a platform I have got a presence on it, but that's someone in my office who deals with that. I don't even have the login. Pinterest's another one. So when you're picking a platform, I always look at picking the most obvious one. For me as a digital marketer, I've always kind of known what the best social media profiles are for me. Facebook works really well. Twitter, not so much. LinkedIn used to, but I just think it's kind of too corporate for my type of audience. YouTube works very well for me. So I've went for a lot of the obvious choices. I'm well aware that my Instagram doesn't get as much traction as my Facebook, and neither does Twitter. So you've got to try them out and see what works, and see what happens. I only started my YouTube. I started the channel like in 2016 when I was launching my personal brand. I literally had one video on it up until the start of 2020, and I've now got 105,000 subscribers. Sorry, on there. And I used the kind of COVID time, not being able to speak at conferences and stuff like that, to get on to YouTube and do more videos. And I've now got the silver plaque, which is, wait a minute, here from YouTube, for 100,000 subscribers and all that stuff. So, I think I was late to the party with YouTube. And you can be late to the party with anything. You've just got to try them. There's no such thing as being late to the party, but I've seen other people leveraging YouTube. I've seen your Neil Patels, Brian Deans, and all that. I'm like, I want some of that. So you've got to look at what your competition's doing and explore the path that they're going down. And the reason that Instagram doesn't do well for me, what am I supposed to do? Put up an image of SEO? Like, people want to hear a voice. They want to hear something. So Instagram does really well for like a hairdresser or an artist or something that's a bit more visual. For SEO, it's not. So you again have to use common sense when you look at this and saying, well, are images going to sell SEO the best? Probably not. So I've got a presence on them all, but I pick and choose which ones I spend the most time on.
Well,
so I think, go ahead.
I just have a quick question. You bring up a good point, and I believe that's the general description of Instagram, that it is more visual. What would be, I realize YouTube is a combination of visual and audio, but what is a platform like Twitter? What is that visual? Is it audio? Is it written? I guess, is it short, opinion based? What would be the platform like that?
What you just said, the last thing you said, short opinion based and full of trolls, is what I find Twitter. So people read a statement that you say, like, look at this for amazing SEO, and a whole bunch of people will wade in and say that's crap, or it's fake, or it's this, or it's that, or you're this or that, the next thing. I find Twitter a place where people can hide, like a kind of faceless platform, and people can slaughter you and say shit and, whatever they tend to do in that platform. I just find it's full of that type of person. It's quite toxic. So that's why, again, I don't spend a huge amount of time on it, because I understand what it is. It's just snippets. You're limited in terms of what you can say. So it's just either a short rant or a short statement or something, a picture in a statement, or, try and inspire people and all that kind of stuff. But you can't do right for doing wrong on some with that. You can't even answer someone back properly on it. It's crazy. So Twitter's, I feel quite a toxic place. Most of the trolling that I've ever had over the years has came from that particular platform.
So you're saying all the comments that I get reply back to politicians, they don't get to appreciate those?
I'm seeing nothing.
Okay, so
hey, it's out there.
So from what you were just talking about prior to Paul's last question, it seems to me like it kind of circles back to the first comment you made about common sense and elbow grease. So you're saying you need to look at the platforms, identify what type of people are there, determine if your product or service is right, and then actually put a little bit of effort into it, because it probably took a little bit of effort to go from 0 to 100,000 or 1,000,000 followers on different platforms. And so maybe the more you put into something, the more you get out of it. Is that what you're saying, Craig?
That's exactly what it is. The biggest secret in SEO is there is no big fucking secret. It is everything we do is about common sense, hard work, and some elbow grease. And that's it. I've got 750 videos on my YouTube over the last 2 years, which is one a day or whatever that averages out at. And a lot of people say, fuck, you weren't surely doing one a day. No, I wasn't. I was recording like 10 in a day and then popping them all out. I was only working a few days a week on them, but I was doing them like all day, every day, just to smash stuff out. But again, it was a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of editing, by my person in the office who deals with the videos, and all of that all costs time, money, and all that kind of stuff. So there's no substitute for that. You can't automate that stuff, and you can't really build another you. So it all comes down to your inner hunger. And for me, that inner hunger revolves around that plaque. I've seen this silver plaque. Now, I can't tell you what 700 videos cost me, or 750 videos cost me in terms of time and money spent on graphics and my video person in the office and all that kind of stuff. Probably, well, it's definitely tens of thousands of pounds, let's put it that way, for a £20 plaque. My motivation was, I need that fucking silver plaque, because I've seen other people get it. So for a £20 plaque, I was just like, I want that. And of course, everything else that comes from it, I've made a lot of money from my YouTube. I've had a lot of sponsorship deals. I've had, people wanting to pay me to promote products, all of that stuff. So it's been massively lucrative. But the inside of me was, I need that plaque. I don't know why. I just needed it. And there's nothing, and that's why when you get it, you're standing with it, you're just like, that bastard. When you've seen other people getting it, you're just like, I want that. Not in a jealous way, but I'm wanting to lift myself up to their level. So when I put my mind to something, even if it's for a £20 plaque, I will happily spend a lot of time, effort and desire to get there. And I think that's the difference between winners and losers, is no matter what I'm doing in life, whether I'm playing chess or whether I'm playing a drinking game with one of you guys, my job is to beat Glenn at every opportunity, or whoever it may be. Whether we're playing ping pong, tiddlywinks, anything, I'm going to be a better drinker than him. I'm going to be everything better than him, or that is what's going on in my head. He ain't winning nothing. And that is just something I'm built, inside me. And it's always just a hunger and a desire to succeed. And I think that's what the biggest thing I've got inside me is, even as a guy in the industry who wasn't a speaker at the point, I used to look at these guys on stage going, you're so full of shit. Like, I could do better than you. Like, I should be up on that stage. I'm funnier than you. I'm better looking than you. I'm all of these things better than you. And I done it. I persevered. I wangled my way in. Sought opportunities and made it happen. And if you believe in something enough or want something enough, you can make it happen. I firmly believe that. Everything I've tried to do in my life, I have potentially achieved in some way or another, whether that be owning my own business, moving from agency to affiliate, speaking on stage, having a nice car, having, being able to take my wife out of her job, all of these things that I've always tried to, realistic. Of course, I wanted to play for Barcelona. Football, that was a dream. That was unrealistic, but any realistic goal I've had that was certainly achievable, I have achieved all of them. And I drive the dream car that I've always wanted. Now, it's not the best car in the world, but I'm very happy with it, and I'll never change car no matter how much money I make. So I've reached a lot of personal goals, and that is all just because inside I fought hard enough for it, and that's all I can say to people is, if you want it enough, you can make it happen.
I saw your videos on the soccer field this last week. I understand why you don't play there.
Listen, I had the ball for 10 years. And my personal trainer, so I do boxing and stuff. And he's like, we need to try and get some of the weight off. Like, you need to do cardio. I can't run for shit. He's like, why don't we go out and get a kickabout? And I was like, I'd love another game of football and stuff. But we're just out kicking the ball about, having penalty competitions and stuff like that. The legs have lost all the power that I had. But do you know what? It was fun. Although I can barely walk. I've done it 2 days in a row and I can barely walk now. But I'm 42 now, and you know, just parts of my body, certain muscles and groins and all that are just in bits after 2 days of just kicking a ball about. So, but yeah, I'm for the soccer scrap heap. That is for sure. I won't be making that Barcelona thing happen in this life anyway.
You know what, Craig, you're young, you will heal quickly. We all know that. All right, so we've been talking about the value of hard work. Let's talk about the value of working smart. So this is my question to both of you. What is your go-to must-have digital tool that you use right now, and why? Why is it something that is so important to you working smarter? What do you think, Glenn?
You know what? It's kind of funny. In the SEO realm, I actually use an accessibility tool that tells me if somebody knows how to build a web page properly. So I can use something called the Wave tool, and I can go through and see if they have I literally was just evaluating a plastic surgeon's website last month that had 10 H1s on his homepage, Craig, and not one of them said plastic surgery. So I like this tool to be able to know that if they've hired someone that's maybe understands a little bit about linking, but don't understand the foundations of a page, I can go in and fix that real quick, and I look like a hero instantly.
Work smarter and look good.
That's right. I want to try and look like Craig when I grow up.
All right, I'll tell you what, I'll go next. My favorite tool right now is, because I'm a presentation guy, and this kind of taps in a little bit to what you were talking about, Craig, doing a lot of videos. I do a lot of videos myself, and I love using Loom. I like using that platform because I'm able to make really quick videos, move things around, include different screen shots and whatnot. And I can do them very quickly on the fly and then make them available to people with a simple link. So it's really kind of my go-to thing right now for doing a lot of networking and a lot of marketing. What about you, Craig?
I've got an endless list of tools that I use, and Glenn will probably be able to relate to this. Like, guys that work in my space are going to automate everything they can, whether that be something like Linked Helper for LinkedIn, where you're going to basically connect with people, endorse people, message people, unfollow people, all in autopilot. All of the stuff you can do in LinkedIn, why would you want to sit and do that manually, talking shit time and time again? Just get automation to do it. But there's so many different things in the SEO space that we can automate. And I think, you know, the one thing that money cannot buy is time. And we need to work smart to cut down in time. And there's so many different things you can automate these days. You know, and I think as an online marketer and stuff like that, whether that's, you know, doing the LinkedIn thing, or whether you're in Twitter and you're automatically following people of interest and then unfollowing them if they don't follow back, all of that tedious stuff, you know, can all be automated the same way that, you know, email responses and stuff like that can be automated. You know, you've got a funnel, you know, you build funnels into your sales process if you're selling things, and you know, if someone does this, then that happens and all that kind of stuff. So you can automate a lot of stuff, a lot of your marketing, and marketing automation, you know, is insane. And I think, you know, it's still evolving. There's so many different tools out there and so many different things you can do as a digital marketer to automate stuff, even stupid things like, and I know you guys do it because I've seen you use Buffer on your to reschedule your social media. Again, that's working smart, because why would you want to sit there at your desk at, the specific time, launching all these posts. Why would you not just sit down on a Sunday night when you're bored, nothing's on the TV, and schedule your social media for the full week? Because you know what's happening this week. Schedule that shit. You then go away and sit down the beach, whatever. So you can do the work and use these things to make yourself look good again, and look busy. A lot of people say to me, Craig, how you must sit there all day, every day. I'm like, nah. I maybe work about 3-4 hours a day, something like that. And I'm like, but you're everywhere. You're on this, you're on that, and you're just like, I'm not really. There's a lot of automation and a lot of other stuff going on. So you can make yourself, look a lot busier than you actually are, and that is the name of the game, is to work smart. I'm not here to work hard. I'm here to do the least amount of work as I possibly can and get the best results or most money that I possibly can. And that is something that's taken me a long time to figure out. So delegation, automation, all of that stuff, outsourcing has to happen.
So that kind of comes down to what I call automations and systems, because a lot of times people might think it's a guru that's completely full of crap saying this, but it's true. And I'd like to ask you to elaborate on this a little bit from your experiences. It's people always say when they're getting into digital marketing, they don't believe it, that it's easier to go from $10,000 a month to $50,000 or $100,000 a month than it is to go from 0 to 10. Because at 0 to 10, you have no systems, you have no automations, you don't really know what you're doing. You're grasping at straws, hoping something's going to work. So as you've gotten better at this, as you've gotten to know more, elaborate on that a little bit, if you will, as far as how you work now smarter with systems and automations and are more successful than just flailing about trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah, so obviously, one of the common mistakes I see through my consultancy is when I go into an agency or whatever, you ask them what the process is for this, or what happens when a client signs up and deposits their first bunch of money. What happens next? I think that guy does this and that, and then you're like, before you look at it, no one's doing shit because there's no process in place. There's no one knows what they're doing. So I think the processes, the SOPs, call them what you will, are not in place in a lot of people's organizations. They certainly weren't when I was running an agency, and they're certainly still not there to this day. And they don't have to be that difficult. So there's just jot stuff down, teach people, give them videos. This is what happens when this happens. You audit the website, you see what's going on, you go in and fix the internal links, you go in and do some keyword research, you go and create a content brief, give it to the content writers, get it back, the editor checks it, puts it on, tweak it, do whatever, order some links for it, and so on. And there has to be a process that goes on, and it baffles me when you see people not doing it. But again, having been there and having not had any processes, I found myself a busy fool, and I was hoping, I'm sitting, the way I think of it is now, I'm sitting going, I hope someone in here's doing what these things are, in my agency. I hope someone's looking after that. It was all hope. I didn't know whether people were doing it. I hadn't actually told them to do it. And I didn't have any documentation or processes to say this is what's done, and I had no checks to check whether it was actually being done either. And I think that's the case for a lot of agencies, and a lot of people. And there has to be some kind of structure to anything you do in life, whether that's going to the gym or whether it's doing your SEO. There has to be a solid moving forward structure that goes on, and creating a document. It can be a document, it can be a video, whatever it's going to be. And using systems is massively beneficial as well. Whether you're creating workflows, to-do lists, whatever, potentially having a CRM, using things where it just works for you, whether that be HubSpot, whether it be something else. There's systems that are there to help you do your job more efficiently, ready made off the shelf, or build your own, whatever. And these are all things that I massively failed at using in my experience, which is why I'm so adamant that people have to do that going forward, because I failed, potentially. As I didn't fail, I'd done okay, but as far as I'm concerned, it was a failure. And when you're looking at other people, you have to say, listen, dude, you cannot scale working the way I was. It topped out at a certain level, and I had no time to educate new staff. I had no time to order content. I had no time to create new things or get new tools or work in the systems because there was nothing, there was no foundation there. And I think, starting off with a decent foundation will allow you to scale and put people in place to manage certain things and all that kind of stuff. So I think it is what you say, once you get to a certain level, as long as these foundations are in place, it's scalable. You just get another person in, another couple of content writers to keep doing the same thing. The whole job is rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But you have to be rinsing and repeating stuff that actually moves the needle. And, whether you need to hire 10 more content writers because you've got 10 more clients or whatever it may be, whatever formula is working, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But what you don't want to be doing is telling the next 10 people the same thing that you've already told 20 people before them. You can make this so much easier. You can say it once, make a video. This is the process, guys. Do it. And then if that person leaves, here's the video again. Go away and do it. And check the work and all that kind of stuff. It's common sense again. You kick yourself when you're like, fuck, Craig, what was I doing? And, I sometimes sit myself going, when you were running that agency, what the fuck was going through your head? Like, you had none of this in place. Like, what was anyone actually doing? And the reality is, people were doing next to nothing and causing me so much stress. They weren't even doing great work. It was all shitty local stuff and crappy content that wasn't even checked. And I remember one client came in and he owned a pet shop and he says, Craig, who's writing the content for my website? and I didn't want to say anything because the person was sitting in the same room. And he just let out. He says, it's disgusting. He says it's disgusting. He says it looks like a dog's dinner. He says it looks like some illiterate idiot has written this stuff. And I'm like, oh shit. And I wasn't checking this stuff, but the guy was like, you have to fucking change your content writer on this. It is trash. And again, I'm sitting there like, I've not even looked at the content in the poor guy's website for the last 6 months. It's just getting added, and there was shit getting added, but I wasn't checking it. So that's part of the process as well. Some quality checks and all that kind of stuff as well. And there's nothing worse when someone has that conversation with you saying, Craig, this looks like a dog's dinner. What's going on? And you can't answer it. There's the buck lies with you.
But you're talking about integrating systems, not just internally, but actually for content creation as well. Yes. Does that fly in the face of something that we talk about all the time here on Blabbit, which is networking and being really authentic in networking? Can you talk about what the balance is? And maybe it's a misnomer that utilizing artificial intelligence to create content is in some way inauthentic.
It's not inauthentic. I think, if you're going to create content like artificial content, I think Google will be able to determine that very easily. But see if I can share my screen for a moment. I just want to show you a particular tool that I think works very, very well. So a tool like phrase.io is a great tool. Now, what this tool does when we talk about content and whatnot is, let's say it's for the keyword SEO Glasgow, right? Just as an example. Now, this gives me the average word count for the page, the amount of headers, links, images, domain authority, blah, 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 blah. Now, I can create a content brief using this tool. Now, why would I want to manually do this stuff when there's a tool that can automate it all? Now, a content brief should look like something like this: deadline, target word count, target headings. It's giving them, some of the people also ask questions. It's giving them the SERP results so they can go and check what the competition are doing. It's giving them the topics. It will give them the topic clusters for that. It will even give them statistics and headers and everything else, questions, statistics, the whole works. Now, why would you not want to use something like that, which then gives your content writer all of the information that they can do to manually go and create your content? So whilst I am not a fan of AI content. Oh, did you even see all of that there?
No, it's all.
You see nothing.
You weren't sharing your screen.
Bloody hell. Wait a minute. It's just come up saying you've lost the ability to share your screen. Give me a second. So I've just rabbled on. Wait a minute. Follow these steps.
But you were looking good while you were talking, buddy.
Yeah, you were describing it. I mean, we understood what was going. We understood the point. That's for sure.
I'll leave it at that then. But yeah, I don't know why. It's saying StreamYard's not allowing you to share your screen. I need to follow some steps, but I'll do that later. I don't want to cut off. But yeah, Phrase gives you the perfect content brief. But what it's doing is it's not saying Craig says you should have 1,200 words on that page. It's looking at the top 20 search results and saying, here on average is what these guys have got. So it's data-led decisions you're making, not some bullshit Craig says or Glenn says or Paul says or whatever. Mm-hmm. Who cares what we say? The data is there and you cannot argue with it. And it's telling us what subheadings to use. It's telling us all of this stuff. So that part can be automated. Someone still has to do the typing. I've yet to find a tool, an AI tool, that passes the kind of detectors that you know, there's, you know, Google can be very, very aware of what we're churning out in terms of AI. Now, people will argue that they can use AI, then spin it or paraphrase the content and then chuck it up and yes, it's indexing and I've got rankings with it. But I guarantee you, in about a year's time, when they get smashed with a big update, all of that content's getting wiped out and all of those rankings are getting wiped out. And that's the fear for me with AI. I would rather spend more money knowing some human being was doing it properly, because I'm in this for the longer term, not to cut a few corners. So that's where I think AI content is at. Will it ever get better? Will it, you know, evolve? I'm pretty sure it will. And I'm pretty sure one day we don't need to write shit. You know, we can do something else and you know, tell a tool what to do or whatever it's going to be. But until that point, you know, it passes all these checkers, and more importantly, you do your own testing on it. Then you can make your decision on whether this is a good thing to use or not. And I would always say try these things. One day something might work really well, but for now I've tried a lot of stuff and it ain't sticking. So I'm still working manually on the actual content writing. Well, not me personally, but one of my VAs. But you know, you can automate the content brief and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm happy with that. It's less work.
It's pretty obvious to everyone that we're going to have you back again, Craig, to update us on the latest, because every time you're on the show, it's as if a whole new chapter of the SEO book has been revealed to us. So thank you, sir.
Sydney can't sit still. He's so excited to listen to Craig talk.
Yes. Quite a following. Anyway, we are running out of time here. Craig, if anybody needs to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do
it? Probably on any social media platform. If you just Google or search for Craig Campbell SEO, you'll find me on there, or on my website, craigcampbellseo.com, and also on YouTube. That's where you'll see a lot of videos, a lot of free Q&A sessions and stuff like that as well. Again, just search for Craig Campbell SEO.
Cool. All right. What do you say, Glenn?
Thank you so much, Craig, for joining us. Everyone, we'll see you same channels, same times next week. Take care, everybody.
Cheers.